Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dynasty After Dark. I'm your host, Calvin Timms. You can find me over on Twitter at TDC_Calvin. Co-host Dale over on Twitter at Dynasty_Dale. And Sunday, it's been a long weekend. Nice weekend, except for today. It got crappy weather out there.
Cold. Yeah.
I'm
It got
ready
cold
for
quick.
spring. It's gonna be nice. But yeah, we're back today, and we've got our wide receiver rankings, top 12. Well, we got top 6 today. Part 2 coming out tomorrow. We'll have the 7 through 12 there. But wide receivers, man, everybody loves the receivers, even though there's 85 million of them right now, it feels like, in Dynasty. But everybody loves these guys. So before we jump into it, how you feeling today?
Hey, I'm feeling really good. I am very excited to talk these wide receivers. I think it's a very interesting bunch, and I just love wide receivers here, man. In Dynasty and redraft and wherever you can get them, I love them.
My only problem with wide receiver right now is it just feels like these guys are so replaceable. You know what I mean? Like the at least the elite guys.
Absolutely.
And it's like, I don't know, that's frustrating for me because I love wide receivers, but with the way that the running back position is going with actual NFL teams, nobody really cares about them anymore. I actually saw a tweet from a prominent NFL guy earlier today, I think it was, basically saying that this is a really good running back class, and it doesn't matter because they're all really good, and the NFL is chock full of really good guys, and just who really needs them. So running backs right now are this year are probably going to go a lot later than people are expecting because there's so many of these guys. There's Bijan, there's Gibbs, a couple of elite guys at the top. But after that, I just don't know. I would not be surprised if multiple fan favorite running backs go in the 4th, 5th, and 6th round just because of the quantity of guys available out there. So, which sucks because then all the analytics nerds are going to say, well, they're 4th rounders. You can't trust them and all this stuff. And it's like, there's just so
true. No, I definitely hear that argument, and that's going to be very interesting to see how these guys fall, because I do feel there's a lot more good guys, decent guys compared to last year, especially going in the 4th, 5th round. So
yeah, and I like the talent a lot,
oh,
but it's just, they're not going to have the draft capital because there's 85 of them in this year's draft class, and they're
just going to dilute them a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody's going to have to. Everyone's going to feel comfortable waiting another round, and it's like, and this is the draft capital argument that's going to annoy me so much. Well, if the team believed in him, they'd take him in the 3rd. But I mean, do you believe in Patrick Mahomes? Do you take him in the 1st round of your drafts?
Right.
It's like, no, you unless it's a super flex. Okay, fair enough. But I mean, your redraft leagues, you're not taking quarterbacks in the 1st round. Doesn't mean they're not super important. Just because you took them in the 8th round doesn't mean you don't want to win with them. Like, it's the dumbest argument. People think out of both sides of their brain, and it's just like there's no logic to it. But that said, running backs are super deep, which means that they're just not as valuable for fantasy football, and that's where the wide receiver is king, and that's why we're going to be talking about these guys today, because if you can get your hands on, I know they're deeper, but it does feel like it falls off pretty quick in terms of the reliable guys. I feel like today, the top 6, you're talking about the most reliable players in fantasy football for a week-to-week performance, and that's why we like these guys so much. And even day 2, this day 2 for us, 7 through 12, we like those guys a lot. But some of those guys, I have a feeling, are going to be a little bit more potential than known value or consistent value for week-to-week performance. But no, these top guys are the elite of the elite. So that said, I'll let you kick it off here. Who's your number 1 guy?
All right. So the number 1 player I have in like non-superflex leagues, like the person who I'd be drafting 101, would be Justin Jefferson. And I love Justin Jefferson. I've loved him ever since he was drafted in college, and he got like he was drafted in the 1st round to the Vikings, I think 3 years ago. Well, I think it's 4 years ago now.
Yep. Well, yeah, this is year 4 for him. So
yeah, it's gonna be year 4. So, so like hopefully So hopefully soon, like he gets a big contract. Like they've been talking about that for the last 6 months.
I know.
In all
I know.
in all honesty. So I love him. He's extremely consistent. I mean, he does have some bust weeks, but I feel
Very
those are
few.
very few and far between. And unfortunately, it happens for me in the Dynasty Championship. It feels like every year, but that's beside the point.
That's where you need Jamar
But
Chase. That's where he goes
yes,
nuclear, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah,
um,
yes. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, so I love Justin Jefferson. He's very consistent, like I think with Adam Thielen not being there and stealing some of those red zone threats, that's going to help him even more. And I feel like adding like TJ Hawkinson is going to feel I feel it's going to be addition by well I guess addition by addition I guess you could say like
it's gonna help him out. You're
I
saying basically,
yeah,
right?
yeah, it's gonna I feel it's gonna help him out more than what Thielen would because Thielen's old and has no knees, legs,
Yeah,
anything
hamstrings.
like that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you there. Justin Jefferson is my number one guy as well. And the only reason why I do have him over the number two guy, which I think for both of us is going to be Jamar Chase,
Yep.
is I think that Justin Jefferson's a little bit more stable. He's more consistent.
Yes. Absolutely.
You look at his if and real quick plug. If you're not watching on YouTube I do have his sleeper profile pulled up here. If you're not watching on YouTube, I implore you guys to go over check out the Dynasty After Dark YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter, and you can find the YouTube there. Or if you're watching on YouTube and you just kind of you don't want to watch all the stats and see all the pretty pictures and everything, you can listen to this podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, anywhere the podcasts are found. So thank you guys for listening wherever you are listening, and yeah, go check out the other forms of the content. While you're there, leave a subscription, like, comment, whatever. There's the whole spiel. But yeah, Justin Jefferson, ever since he was a rookie, wide receiver 6 as a rookie, wide receiver 4 the next year, and then last year was the number 1 wide receiver, just consistently going up. And it's crazy. He was number 6 with Mike Zimmer, and it's just Mike Zimmer was just such a bad coach, dude. Like, it's frustrating. He was not a good head coach, but you can see what Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback for fantasy football purposes, and his number one guy, oh baby, he trusts him for everything, and
Yes.
yeah, Justin Jefferson is
Fantastic.
that guy. Now, the only thing I will say that could have a slight impact on him, we both agree Adam Thielen is a little bit older, doesn't really have the same talent anymore. If they bring in a first-round wide receiver this year, a Quentin Johnston, for example, that could be very interesting. Opposite, Kirk Cousins has been able to feed to top end, but
Mhm.
if you go back to his Washington days, I do believe he was able to feed Deshaun Jackson. I forget who the other player was, and then also Jordan Reed,
Yeah.
the tight end. So he was able to make 3 fantasy productive options, but that is bad news for Alexander Madison owners out there. I don't think that he would be as good anymore. But
No.
no, I do think that a first round wide receiver could come in here, and again, it's addition by addition, coined by
Yeah.
Dale. So, I think that they would be able to open up Justin Jefferson, depending on who it is. So we'll
Mhm.
see how that kind of goes. So Justin Jefferson, number 1, just a stud. He's Justin Jefferson is single-handedly responsible for breaking people's brains on how fantasy wide receivers are supposed to work now. Because now everyone
Absolutely.
expects them to be a top 5 guy in their rookie season, and it's just,
Right.
how rare this is, guys? Like, it's super
Well,
rare.
it's the big thing I see is that a lot of people will take like the running back talent over somebody who is very talented, a very talented wide receiver, like we saw with like Jalen Waddle
Mm-hmm.
a couple years ago. Like it's for instance, I was dumb in one of our rookie drafts and took Trey Sermon over Jalen Waddle, and I would
Yeah,
much
that's
rather
rough.
have it is rough, and I will say that you did the same thing too. So it is what it is what it is. Like it happens. So
Wait, whoa. I did not do this. Don't put this on me.
this this was in a league that we were both in that you're no longer in.
Oh, I got you.
And you picked and you picked Michael Carter and I picked Trey Sermon,
I
and
put
like three
Michael
picks.
Carter over Jalen Waddle. Man,
Yeah,
make
you
bad
did.
decisions, I guess. But
Yep, bad decision. Same here, man.
that means he must have
So
fallen because I'm pretty sure that pick was like the 111 or the 112, I think. So
it
Jalen
was
Waddle
the two
fell.
two.
Oh my!
It was the
Jalen Waddle
it was
was there
well.
in the 2-3. What? Wow.
Yeah. I
How did
was
that
a two
happen?
three. Like he got. Yeah. He was picked 2-6 that year
Whoa. Nah, these
in
wide
our league.
receivers are very good, and
Yes.
again,
Yes.
people's brains are broken. But you have two
Absolutely.
generational guys here in our number one and number
Mhm.
two, who
Absolutely.
you look at Jamar Chase, who is our number two guy here, and that's where again it gets a little bit rough there because his rookie year, number 5, last year number 12, and that's where again it was just not the best situation for fantasy football because he just now everyone expects them to be that good, right? So Jamar Chase, very very electric, tied to Joe Burrow. I believe that they keep T. Higgins. I think they're going to find a way to pay all three of these guys. I think that they're going to make those three the core of the offense for a long time to come. Now, Jamar Chase, everyone kind of talks about, oh, him versus T. Higgins. Maybe T. Higgins is the better one, but I just don't believe that. Jamar Chase, he only played 13 games last year and still finished as a top 12 wide receiver. He's only 23 years old, and he's so good. Really, he is one of the best wide receivers we have out there. And if he hadn't gotten
Agreed.
injured, I think he'd be a top 5 guy yet again. And his upside, man, is just absolutely crazy. So that's what it is for me. And again, you can see here if you're on YouTube, he had where is it? Whoa, sleeper. He had a game where he missed 4 games, but then he had a game at the end of the season against Buffalo. He played 0 snaps. Oh wait, that was the never mind. That was the DeMar Hamlin game. So
Yeah.
game didn't even end up counting, right? So he has
Yeah.
13 games on on record this last season. Finishes as a top 12 guy.
Wild.
Crazy how good this guy is. So,
Wild.
any thoughts on Jamar Chase before we just jump to the next tier?
I really love Jamar Chase too, but I think the biggest difference between him and Justin Jefferson is that Jefferson is more consistent than
Mm-hmm.
Chase,
Yep.
and plus I feel that having Higgins there, like Higgins does require some targets from Joe Burrow compared to Justin Jefferson doesn't have that quality of number two to him.
Right. And that's what scares me about them taking a first round guy. Like if they did take a Quentin
I don't
Johnston,
I don't think they will. I
I
think they're going to go
doubt it,
defense
but
because their
man,
defense was so trash last year. Like they need to fix it, and
I
there's
agree. I agree.
a lot of good defensive players.
I agree. But if they bring in, all it takes is a T. Higgins, and
Yeah,
all of a sudden
it does.
Justin
It
Jefferson
does.
has a
Yeah,
competition. But no,
yeah.
I'm with you. So Jamar Chase, very, very good player. Top 2 for us, kind of in a tier of their own here before we go to the next group of guys. And that's going to be, for me, I don't know how your tiers kind of break out here, but my number 3 guy and number 4 guy are going to actually have a tier 3 here. My number 3 guy is CeeDee Lamb, followed by AJ Brown, and then Jalen Waddle. So, what are your thoughts on these 3 guys? How do you have them ranked? Who's your number 3 guy?
All right, all right. So at my number three, like I also have CeeDee Lamb, and then at 4 I got AJ Brown, and um, for your stack of 3, like I do have Jalen Waddle. So like I do have those guys fairly ranked very similar, but there's a guy at 5 that we'll talk about here in a minute that I really love. So with that, like I was really splitting hairs between CD Lamb and AJ Brown personally
Sure.
on like who to rank above each other, but I think really for me it's that on the opposite side of AJ Brown, like you have Devonta Smith who really eats up a lot of those shorter targets. It's compared to CD Lamb where like now like he just has Brandon Cooks. And like
Right.
I'm not worried about Brandon Cooks taking targets away from CD Lamb like I do a little bit with Devontae Smith taking some away from AJ Brown.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you.
That's the
Um,
big thing for me.
I mean, CeeDee Lamb plays a lot out of the slot as well. So,
Yep. Yep.
it's just
Yep.
designed to get him open. Now, the one downside with CeeDee Lamb potentially this year, he finally broke out this last season.
Mm-hmm.
Had Dak for a full year, all this stuff. Dak was finally playing well, and they fire Kellen Moore. So,
Yeah.
what is this offense going to look
Yay.
like? I still believe in CeeDee Lamb. I think the breakout last year was what we expected to see this whole time. I think that CeeDee Lamb is very, very good. He has the
Mm.
synergy with Dak Prescott, and I think that's where it's going to shine moving forward. So I'm with you there. You compare him to an A.J. Brown, who's my number 4 guy. CeeDee Lamb's a little bit younger, and he's finished a little bit better in full PPR leagues, just ever so slightly, right? So, I mean, you're talking the finest of margins, but A.J. Brown does more of his work off of touchdowns, where CeeDee Lamb does a lot of his work off of, the yardage and receptions and things like that. So, that's the main difference there. I think that AJ Brown has a ton of yards because he's just an after the catch monster, like just absolutely a dog,
Absolutely.
But um, yeah, I think that the volume is definitely on the CeeDee Lamb side, whereas the explosiveness is on the AJ Brown side. So these two guys are both sides of the same coin, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They just play complementary. It would be great to see these
Yes.
guys on the same team. Oh my gosh, could you
That
imagine?
that'd be wild.
Could
That'd be
you
wild.
imagine? But yeah, so AJ Brown, it's just a preference for me. He's got the injury history. Played a full 17 this last year, so was finally healthy the whole time. Maybe it's something down in Tennessee. I don't know. Traylon Burks had a little bit of the injuries this last year.
Yeah.
Not every training staff is created equal. I know nobody wants to talk about that. Oh,
It's very true though.
injuries are not aren't predictive. Yeah, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm predicting a lot of injuries for San Francisco again.
Right.
It's something that happens every single year. So, maybe him getting out of Tennessee helped his career. I like him a lot, but I just have the slight edge to CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, no, and I definitely hear that. So, and then with your number 5 and my number 6, Jalen Waddle, um, he's been uh so last year, like he was the wide receiver 8 in PPR leagues. And he played with the ever injured or the always injured Tua,
Right.
which I think is going to be extremely interesting, and that's why I have him a spot lower than you do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Only because like with his and Tyreek Hill's splits when Tua started compared to when he didn't are very drastic
Sure.
and very concerning to me. But I also felt that Mike McDaniel also ran the offense a little bit differently when Tua wasn't there because he
Sure.
didn't trust the quarterback as much, which is very understandable when you're starting a seventh, like I think what was his name, Skylar Thompson,
Something
as
like that.
your seventh round quarterback and all that. So yeah, so I'm extremely excited for Jalen Waddle. I feel he is that he's that prototypical slot guy that you love to see. But I think it's going to be interesting what happens with Tua, in the coming years to see how much Waddle can kind of grow.
Yeah, yeah. And the one nice thing, again, so all these wide receivers we talked about so far are pretty young. I mean, AJ Brown's the
Yeah.
oldest at 25. So, wide receivers used to hit their ceiling at 27. So, they'd be in that peak window from 27 to 29 roughly is the old school kind of motto for these wide receivers. But things have changed now. And again, thank you, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and all of these guys really for that's what's crazy to me. Everyone expected, and that's why people are frustrating because CeeDee Lamb didn't have the Justin Jefferson season, but he finally broke out now, which is kind of consistent with the way that wide receivers used to break out, right? It used to take
Yep.
3 years. Justin Jefferson broke out in the same draft class as CeeDee Lamb, so now CeeDee Lamb's a bust
Mhm.
forever. He's never going to be good
Yeah.
ever. And it's like, guys, sometimes you have to be patient. Like, you do have to be patient.
That's
But
true. That's
I mean,
true.
even Jalen Waddle, right? Like, he was very good his first year. Finishes PPR wide receiver number 13, which is not bad. Don't get me wrong
Oh,
at all.
that's
But when you have
that's
140
excellent. Yeah.
targets, it kind of changes things. Not every rookie is going to get that many targets. That was before
Mhm.
Tyreek Hill as well. He's kind of the main focal point of this offense, right? But now in year 2, takes a step forward, wide receiver number 8. So, not every wide receiver is going to be, and this is kind of a JSN, you know,
Plug. Yeah.
message, public service announcement, right? Where he might not be the number 1 wide receiver this year, and that's okay. But he's still really, really good, right?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so, sometimes a little bit of patience in Dynasty is worth it. But no, Jalen Waddle, he's only 24 years old, which is amazing to see. I don't really care who his quarterback is. I mean, again, you look at his rookie year, finishes the PPR wide receiver 13, and I don't believe Tua played that whole season either, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong there, but I thought he missed some games back in 2021. But yeah, I think that he's kind of quarterback proof. He's very explosive. His skill set is ironically very close to Tyreek Hill, who he's on the same team with. But yeah, I want him for the youth and the potential long term. Now, his teammate across the field, we're going to actually talk about tomorrow in
Mhm.
Tyreek Hill. I'm down a little bit lower on him just strictly due to age. But if you wanted to win, right? If you wanted to win this
Yes.
season, I'd have to say take Tyreek Hill over Jalen Waddle. But, for the youth and longevity
Agreed.
aspect of it, I would take Jalen Waddle there. So that's kind of my thought process there. Now,
Mhm.
we differ on our last guy in the top 6 here. My number 6 guy is, and I was talking to Dale about this. It kind of annoyed me before before the podcast started because I actually have those top 5 guys in I have Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase in a tier of their own. I have the next 3, Jalen Waddle, AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb in a tier of their own. Then I have
Mhm.
4 guys in my next tier. Doing a top 6 doesn't work out that well for for
Yeah.
this next tier. So I'm going to
Makes
mention
it
this
tough.
guy, but he's actually part of my next tier of guys who we're going to get into more tomorrow. But you'll kind of see why this player falls there here in just a second. So my last guy is going to be Cooper Kupp. And really, like I just talked about with the other player on Miami, Tyreek Hill, he's also in this tier. Devontae Adams is in this tier, and Stephon Diggs is also in this tier. So we'll get into those guys tomorrow. But, these are the players that are going to win you a title. I think this year and I think next year. All 4 of these guys are 29 years old or 30, and Devontae Adams, he just turned 30 not too long ago. So they're all a little bit older. They're all near their ceiling in terms of age, right?
Mhm.
Tyreek Hill already gave a hard out in terms of NFL retirement. He's going to
Yep.
retire in 2025, so you got him for 3 more seasons, which I don't think he's taken a step back. He hasn't slowed down at
No.
all. And the way that the modern NFL is played, these guys are keeping themselves healthier longer. They're keeping up with their training a lot longer, and it takes a lot longer for them to start to fall off. I mean, look at Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen's 32, and he's just now finally starting to fall off, right? And he's not a peak athlete like these other 4 guys. But Cooper Kupp has to be at the top of this next tier, guys, specifically because when he's healthy, oh my goodness. The Rams were terrible. If everybody remembers, the Rams were absolutely dog crap for the first.
Abysmal.
They were awful while he was on the field earlier in the season. You look at his game log, though. He played 10 games. The 10th game against Arizona, what did he do? He tore an ACL, right? Or
Yeah.
which
Or
sucks.
something.
It definitely sucks there. Oh wait, no, he had tightrope surgery on his ankle. No ACL. Good.
Yeah.
So he had tightrope surgery. So that's not a year-long recovery there. So he should actually be healthy now. But you take week 10 out. He only scored 3 points in that game. 27, 23, 17, 27, 27, 17, 33, 33. It's like dude was winning you weeks just nonstop for the first
Mhm.
9 weeks of the season. It was absolutely insane. And I think when he's healthy and he comes back, Matt Stafford's going to be back. Hopefully, this offensive line will be a little bit better going into the future. It was terrible for the entire first half of the season. They started to get together a little bit in the second half. Man, if they can get a decent offensive line, Cooper Kupp's going to win you another championship. He's just going to hard
Yeah.
carry your team every single week. So you can give your thoughts, and then you can tell me who your last guy in top six is.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that, and I love Cooper Cup. I love me some Cooper Cup, but I think some of the injuries, the compiling injuries, and the Rams' offense is suspect. To be very honest, so I ranked him. uh, I kind of changed my rankings as we've been talking a little. These for the back half of a wide receiver one on these guys, and I do love Cooper Cup, but I just think with injuries and with I don't know how their offense is going to look. I know they were very bad last year. I don't think they're going to be as bad, but it's going to be a little rough in LA for them. But I don't think Cooper Cup's going to suffer by any means.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of it for me. Like, as long as they've
Yeah.
got Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, I don't really see much changing from last year to this year. As long as those guys, again, as long as they can stay healthy. But I mean, this is Christian McCaffrey for the running back position, right? When he was healthy, he was winning you weeks, and
Right.
people were kind of down on him. He's older, all that stuff. I understand, but he hasn't shown any signs when he's on the field. And again, I think that he probably could have come back from the injury last year, but at that point
Mhm.
in time, he got injured in week 10. They were already eliminated from playoffs at that point in time, or very close to it. No one's ever really eliminated in the NFL, but they were so close to eliminated from playoffs. I think they just shut the whole season down. I think Stafford probably could have come back. Cooper Kupp could have come back. I think they shut down Allen Robinson as well.
Mhm.
So it's just they shut down this entire offense and didn't want to risk anything long term with these guys. So, I don't think that it's a bigger deal than it was, but I could be wrong on that. I have no insider knowledge, but yeah.
Right.
All
Right.
right. So who's
So
your last guy?
yeah. So my last guy at number 5 is Garrett Wilson, on the Jets. So, with Wilson, I've I mean, I'm a homer, I'll be very honest, but, um, despite that, like, he played exceptional. Like, he was the wide
Mm-hmm.
receiver 21. It's for a rookie. Like, he did have some big explosion games, and then other games, he was absolute garbage. But,
Right.
and that's to be very honest, but, like, I feel that he really had a coming out party towards the end of the year and was more successful. Like, I think he had a game against Minnesota where he had, like, 15 targets, and he was playing out of his mind in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching that game a
162.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah, he just went off, and I think that was with Mike White.
Yeah, I believe so.
So with that, like, he played with Zach Wilson last year, who who was throwing balls to people in the stands, and they were having trouble catch it. So I feel there's going to be a quarterback upgrade, whether that's Aaron Rodgers or not. I don't really know.
It's gonna be
It's really
Rogers.
hard to.
It's
I know,
Rogers.
I know, I know, but I'm not going to speculate at this moment until everything's signed, sealed, delivered, and it's probably going to happen on draft day. I just have a
Oh
feeling
yeah, for
it's going
sure.
to happen. It's going to happen on that Thursday because Aaron Rodgers loves that attention, and he
Well,
loves
I don't
Aaron
think it's on
Rodgers.
him at this point. I think it's on the
Yeah,
Jets.
true, true. That is true. But
But
it's for
you're
Garrett.
not wrong.
But it's for, yeah, he does. So, as for Garrett Wilson, like, on this Jets team, like, he is the alpha on that team.
Hmm.
I mean, they're not gonna have. They're probably gonna cut Corey Davis. I mean, they got rid of Elijah Moore.
Yep.
You now have Alan Lazard, and you got Miko Hardman, who speedster guy, but I'm not. Going with Wilson, like, he is exceptionally talented. Like, he's not afraid to go up and get the ball. He has good hands.
Hmm.
He can play anywhere you want him to. Play the slot. He can in the X. He can play darn near everywhere, and he's fantastic. And I'm just hedging. I'm trying to get ahead of everybody a little bit with Garrett Wilson because I've seen the talent. I saw a talent for 3 years at Ohio State,
Sure.
and that talent has translated to. I mean, it's unfortunate it's the Jets, but I think he makes the Jets that much better.
Yeah, and you'll see my ranking on Wilson maybe tomorrow. Is he in my top 12? I don't know. There's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of wide receivers. So Garrett Wilson might not
There's a
be up there
lot.
for me. So,
There's definitely a lot of wide receivers.
but no, I do like Garrett Wilson a lot. He plays so big for his size too. You know, you look at it, he's 6 foot,
Being
192, and
six
it's
foot,
like
yes,
he
yes,
plays like almost like a DK, you know, on the
yes, he
field, or an
does.
AJ Brown kind of. That's
Absolutely.
the kind of who I see when I watch those guys play. But no, I like Garrett Wilson. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers, but even if it's not, I doubt it's going to be Zach Wilson again. But
It is. I will.
if it's not Aaron Rodgers, it might be Zach Wilson, and that's
It's.
the only
I
thing that
don't.
might be
I
detrimental.
don't. I don't think Robert Saleh
He would not
could.
survive it, that's for sure.
Well, no, he wouldn't. I just don't think Saleh, in good faith, could do that to himself or the Jets again.
Well, yeah, we'll
So,
see. We will see.
so
But
yes,
yeah,
gonna be interesting.
yep. So we'll see. I agree with you. I think after the first round's over and that first round picks off the table, you
Hmm.
know, that's when
Yeah,
that's probably when things will get. So,
probably.
no, Garrett Wilson is a good player, but yeah, we'll see. I don't want to leak too much. You guys can come back tomorrow and see my ranking on him if I have him up there or not. But Dale doesn't actually know if I have him in there, so he he has no
Oh,
idea. But yeah, wide receivers. There's so many of these young guys, and again, you
so
can kind of
many.
see Cooper Kupp was the last guy for me. He was my number 6 guy. You can see why I have a tier of 4 guys there. They're all older, but they're going to win you a title. I kind of leaked
That's
half
true.
the
That is
half
very
the guys
true.
for tomorrow's video anyway. But that said, yeah, these guys are all elite. They are probably the most consistent long term, and they're all very, very young, except for Cooper Kupp, right? All of Dale's guys are extremely young, 24, 25 or younger. Great time if you need a wide receiver in the NFL. You can get them pretty much a dime a dozen, but yeah, these guys are the difference makers, I believe, for fantasy football. They're the guys that you want to invest in. If you're trading for a wide receiver, you want to get one of these top guys just because, especially like a Garrett Wilson, I don't think everybody's caught up to him like you have, where he has the potential to be a superstar.
Yes.
And again, we showed it with Jalen Waddle, right? Year one, wide receiver number 13 for PPR. I think he was like 21 or 22 for standard. Garrett Wilson, 21 in PPR, 21 in standard. It's year 2, year 3. That's when these guys really
Hmm.
step forward, and that's when we're going
Yes.
to see it. So, no, wide
Absolutely.
receivers, great time. Again, if you need one of these guys. Any last thoughts on these guys?
N- not on not on these guys, but just make sure to come back tomorrow because in my rankings, I do have a couple homer picks
Mm.
potentially, potentially
Oh, I
that
know who. I know who.
that I'm sure you guys would love to hear.
All right. All right. All right. So thank you guys for joining us today. Again, you can follow us on Twitter at TDC_Calvin, at Dynasty_Dale. Hit us up for any questions you guys might have, any trade questions, off season. You know, the off season's in full swing. Leagues are starting to ramp up with the NFL draft. We're a little over a week away. Man, I'm excited. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about that. But we are going to be continuing to drop a lot of content for you guys. We might ramp it down a little bit after the NFL draft. We'll see. Maybe we can continue this all off season. Maybe we do 4 episodes a week all off season, and then I'm going to die at the at the start of the season. But
Absolutely.
you know,
100%.
until we get there, we will see. Thank you guys for joining us. If you have anything, hit us up on Twitter, on socials, on YouTube. And until next time, thank you guys for joining us. Have a good night.